at the bed and breakfast, you know, everything is so clean. The food is amazing. The coffee is like to die for.
What we do by showing up there is we supply an income. Nepal it's a melting pot of different cultures.
So I work in the corporate world, and there was a few things that I wanted to get out of this trip that might be a little bit different than some others that came on the trip. I also wanted to see how 514 works as a business.
It was something completely new to me. I'd never flown before. I'd never been out of the U.S.
Not often that you can look out your bedroom window and see an elephant walking down the road with his food for the week. That was one of our last days all together, so it was a fun experience for the whole team.
People are happy, people are content. You see no road rage. Every road is a one-lane road. You have to negotiate.
It's a no problem. It's a no problem. Anybody can do it.
We're going to a gateway town called Yangfeti. From Yangfeti, there's little communities all throughout the mountains. People told them, you don't want to go there. They said, yes, this is exactly where we want to go.
So the trek up into GP took about 3.5 hours, and that was very difficult with the amount of gear that I had.
I did zero training basically to do it, which was a big mistake.
The dark was a little sketchy, especially the bridge.
It was just really breathtaking. Couldn't take enough pictures. With the rice fields, you know, going straight up the mountain, the nice blue river going through the valleys, and of course the high peaks that you get to walk by.
It did get a little challenging, about 45 minutes until we reached the village. And Easy was passing right by me, and they'd been asking the whole time if they could take my pack, you know, if it was too hard. And at that point I was like, yes, I will switch packs with you. 25 to 30 pounds doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you're hiking up with it and you're just drenched with sweat, it was definitely a challenge, but it was super fun, and I'd do it again.
The level of comfort is what I'm often amazed at. Like, we're used to indoor plumbing and comfy beds, and it's a pretty soft life. When we come here and it's mats like that on the floor, or just harder sleeping conditions and outdoor plumbing and squatty potties, and yet they're so happy and realizing happiness doesn't depend on what you have. What's humbling to me is the beauty of the creation all around us. These few days, living as close as possible with them as families, it's a special opportunity that we don't get in a lot of countries that we visit.
I did get the opportunity to do a couple additional treks, a couple of hours one day and a few hours another day.
So we went to go deliver some water filters up to a small village called Hopekill from GP.
The trek itself was beautiful. We got to see countless waterfalls, and I mean almost quite literally countless waterfalls. We got to know Raj, who was he was our guide and translator, did an excellent job. He's a full-time employee and guide here at 514.
It was different in the way to where it was a lot more uphill. Then we got to experience the leeches, which was fun.
We started hiking up through the terraces. It was a pretty high climb.
I think it took us about 2 hours to get up to the top. The walk along the way, though, is really incredible because you can just see God's creation all around you. Lots of waterfalls.
It was a very difficult trek, I have to be honest. And at one point when it was very difficult for me, he came alongside me and said, "Emily, it is so important that you as a woman are going to this village." He said, "We don't usually take women up here. Just your going up will empower these women." And once he said that, it was like the wind beneath my sails.
We went from 1,610 meters to about 2,000 meters in height.
But as we were approaching the village, we did hear there was like a drumming and some chanting, and we were told that was a Buddhist priest. It was a Buddhist village that we were going into.
We arrived at our village. So unfortunately, we learned that we didn't have enough water filters to meet everybody's needs. We didn't know the size of the village going in there, and we had brought with us 20 water filter systems. As we were assembling those 20 water filters, we found out that we only had 18 complete systems with us. So we got together and we prayed about it. And just as we had said amen, a group of villagers had stood up. Everybody seemed to have big smiles on their face. God's math worked out. We started off with 20 water filters. 2 of them were incomplete systems, so we really only had 18 full water systems available to give to the people. There were 23 households in the village, 29 families within those households, every one of them wanting their own water filter. And in the end, when they all came to an agreement, there were only 2 people decided that they were going to wait for water filters, and everybody else had gotten the water filters that they needed. Even though our math was unable to add up, God's math did add up.
So I had the privilege of looking into the eye of each Nepali that received one of these filters, and 70% of them were women.
And it was just really neat to be able to give someone something tangible. With each water filter we would hand out, there was just even a bigger victory, an overcoming of the strongholds that are in that village. So that was a really powerful moment.
After each person received it and I prayed for them, the whole village cheered. And I thought that was just a confirmation of God saying to me, this is good news.
I would have to say that learning about 514 was the main reason I came. Doing the water filters was a really close second. I was very much intrigued by the whole idea of bringing someone clean water.
My name is Erin. I'm a 25-year-old nurse from Southern Ontario, Canada. When we were in GP, the last medical clinic that had ever been there was about 6.5, 7 years ago, when the original group from 514 went to check out the village of GP. And so the people that live there really haven't had any medical access whatsoever since about that time. And so the Emerge department definitely prepared me for this trip. Altogether, we saw about 250 patients over a 2.5-day medical clinic. There was a total of 3 nurses. We're doing kind of the nursing side of things, but we had the whole team pitching in with intake and parasite pills and getting weights and measurements and pharmacy and assess our patients and get them out the door. So most of the people that we saw in the clinic were the ages of infant to about 12 years old. And then there's a really big gap in age group from about 12 to, I would say, low 20s. So the majority of the patients we saw were either over 50 years old or under 12 years old. One that really comes to mind is a little boy who I want to say was about 10 or 11. He had some sores on his foot that were not healing properly and really just needed to be attended to and dressed, and he needed to be put on antibiotics as well. Here in Nepal, there's not a lot of closed-toed shoes or shoes in general. A lot of the times, if they're wearing shoes, it's flip-flops, and it's a very dirty soil and very dusty soil. So as you can probably imagine, a lot of the times it's very hard to keep wounds, especially on the feet, clean. So it was a cool experience because all 3 of the nurses got to work together, which was abnormal for our clinic because usually we had our own session or our own little area that we worked in. You could really tell that the people of GP were super thankful.
it wouldn't take much just to turn this around and have everybody live comfortably with all the resources that they have. We want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that.
They're a great company and they run their businesses really well. They take really good care of you. Who they are as a company and what they do, it was amazing and inspiring, and it made me want to support them and partner with them that much more.
I want to bring my youth group and my camp friends on this trip, so.
You should do it, really.
That was it. Nepal, Far East, now close second home. The flight in, soon to be the flight out. New strangers, now old friends. An exciting anticipation, now fond memories. It was a great time. It holds a special place in my heart, and maybe one day it can for you too. It's always the people you remember, the faces, the smiles. That's it from here in Nepal. I'm Phillip Pearson. Thanks for watching.